Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of They Got a Podcast. I'm that Steve Dawson. To my left would be Sean. To my right is Will Davis. And this is where the intro music's supposed to be, but we don't have any. So, basically, this is a podcast in a world of podcasts. And you're probably asking yourself, why should I fill my ear holes with this podcast and not some other one? To be honest, I don't have a good answer for you. But this is a podcast of all things pop culture, what's popular in the world, video games, movies, TV shows, the normal stuff that you talk about on a daily basis. So today, the first episode, we basically want to just introduce ourselves to you. And we'll start off with our all-time favorite video game. Sean, what's your all-time favorite video game?
Everyone I played.
Every video game ever created.
About.
They're all so good.
Yeah, that's hard to pick, but I don't know. My favorite one, I like the Call of Duty games. I like playing those.
Okay.
Go with that.
Call of Duty.
No specific one?
No, not really, because I can get on those. I can get on each one and just play.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And World at War, I think that one was my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Both factions.
Yeah.
Loved it. Let's see here. I'm Will, guys. My favorite video game. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and say Dark Souls overall. PS3.
Yeah.
Killed it, man. The best game of all time. All time.
All time. Even better than Bloodborne.
Even better than Bloodborne, definitely.
Wow.
I'm gonna play both of those.
Bloodborne is a pretty game.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not a particularly deep game. I do like it a lot.
Okay.
It's not the OG.
Right. Well, if you want to go OG, then Demon Souls.
Yeah, but Demon Souls, it's a little too OG.
Really?
I love Demon Souls too, but it's just I like the atmosphere a lot more in Demon Souls for sure. But Demon Souls, there's just some like game mechanics that I think Dark Souls just really nailed. It just made it a better game.
Right.
Slightly edged it out. Demon Souls is up there though, for sure.
Okay.
How about you, man?
For me, it's always the same answer whenever someone asks, and it will forever be the exact same game. And it's Drakengard.
Of course, Drakengard.
I don't know, like,
it, man. Nobody knows what it is.
I know, it's one of those games that it was a PS2 exclusive, made by, Caveat did the second one. I don't know if they did the first one, but it was,
it was Square Enix, but Caveat, I think, was the one
yeah.
who actually developed the game.
But talk about a game that was dark. Like, the atmosphere for this game is just crazy, hellish. Like, you're gonna die no matter what.
Don't give viewers nightmares, man.
With this game, I mean, in some aspects, this game will... I mean, you think about the game, like, the Japanese version of the game is way, way darker than the American version. And the American version's pretty bad, but in the Japanese version, there's kind of weird incest. Kind of, like, they point towards, like, incest between the main character and his sister.
Cool in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and then... And let's see, one of the characters, they hint at him kind of like molesting his younger brother. Which is which is
fun little stuff in there.
Yeah. It's just things like that, and I know it sounds weird. You're like, oh, that's your favorite game? What kind of freak are you? You know, but
Let me explain why I love it.
But yeah, let me tell you why I love it. But it's just a game, and it's also one of the games that I 100% completed without a walkthrough. And I spent, hours upon hours just playing this game. But the main character, Kaim, for a character that never talked, was a pretty deep character. I mean,
was a boss, man.
Yeah. In the beginning of the game, he loses his voice. And then he doesn't talk the rest of the game.
Yeah, I also love Drakengard. such a baller game. My favorite game for a really long time,
Yeah.
too. It's actually, I feel like, gameplay-wise, it's very different from the Souls series, which are now, I would say, kind of my favorite. But, like, tonally, I think that's kind of why I liked Drakengard
Right,
as well.
right.
It's a very dark setting. And, plus it had some pretty sweet music, too, I would say. Very, like, creepy, like,
Yeah,
gothic.
yeah.
It had a good atmosphere. It was basically, like, gameplay-wise, it was just, like, this Dynasty Warriors, like, hack and slash. Just go kill up, like, a whole army. I
Right.
just always loved that crap.
Yeah.
Then you'd hop on a dragon and go tear it up some more.
Right.
So it's just a really fun game to play, too.
Okay. First video game you ever played?
Wow.
I'll let you think about it. I can go ahead and tell you mine. First video game I ever played. Most people probably would have been turned off by video games after playing this game. But E.T. on the Atari was my very first video game. And, I mean, you got to think I was probably 5 at the time. E.T. was one of my favorite movies, being like a 5 or 6 year old, and then seeing a video game of this movie, I'm like, yes, please. Can't tell you what that game's about other than some dude in a top hat trying to kill you, like, catch you for some reason. I don't know. But yeah,
Well, I mean, people in top hats are nefarious.
that's true. That's true.
That's how it works.
But yeah, very first video game.
That sounds...
I never really thought about it. But I know it was Nintendo, probably Super Mario game. Duck hunting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's probably a lot of people's first game.
Mine... See, I don't know 100%. It's possible that I played something, before, memories even formed in my brain, but the only game I can remember playing as a small child, Super Mario Brothers, or Super Mario World, actually, for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Talk about a great game to start off with.
Yeah.
Like, one of the best Mario games ever created. Really deep, too. It's like,
Right.
you can go to the different levels, there's a world map, there's different paths you can take, secret areas, there's like a whole shebang, really.
Right.
And that was just an awesome game. I remember we used to play that kind of as a family. So I was pretty young and awful at video games.
Right.
So I remember I would hand off the controller to my mom. She could fly for some reason. Never played video games before.
Right.
Hasn't since. But for some reason she could totally navigate the flying in that game.
That's funny.
So I got some good memories of that.
All about the flick of the wrist.
All right. All-time favorite game console. Where do you put your alliance, I guess you would say, in this world of system wars that we live in today? Because, I mean, it really is, like, basically Nintendo versus Sony versus Microsoft versus the PC master race.
Disagree, man. You're forgetting one key player.
The
That's gonna be
Ouya.
Sega.
Oh.
No, it's close. Sega Dreamcast.
The
Sega
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast.
Whew.
It's
What about
it's
Sega
a
Saturn?
bit of an underdog. Sega Saturn, yes, true.
Yeah,
That was-
that's even an
that was
underdog.
previous. Underdog.
The underdogger.
Sega's gonna be coming out pretty soon. You guys, you heard it here first.
I
Sega Dreamcast 2.
I don't
Gonna be
agree.
Started any day now.
I don't agree with that at all. I feel like Sega
It would be Super Sega Saturn.
screwed up.
No, yeah.
They
they're
continue
out of
to
the game,
screw up.
unfortunately.
They need to give us some Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 here.
Oh yes.
They need to
absolutely.
release more Yakuza games. And until they do that, they're dead to me. And
Wow.
Vanquish 2, where's that at? That's all I'm saying.
Where is Vanquish 2 at? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they always continue with the series I don't want them to continue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Sonic games out there.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
only
nobody
one Valkyria Chronicles game. published
nobody
over
plays
here.
Sonic. Nobody plays Sonic after Sonic and Knuckles.
Even if you go back and play the Sonic games, I feel like they
They're
don't particularly
They're
hold
terrible.
up well. Yeah. Like,
You
they were
you
never good.
think they're
just-
good, yeah. Like you're
But-
like, oh man, Sonic. I remember playing that.
People will disagree with me. I guess I was never super into Sonic. In fact, I remember one time when I was drowning, and I was drowning. I say that all casually. I jumped in a pool when I was a kid, and I didn't know how to swim. I jumped for a ball flew out.
And you were like, only if Sonic was here, he would save me.
I thought of when you were underwater in Sonic, it started flashing red.
Yeah.
And that would have been an awful thing to die to because Sonic is an awful.
And then you try to get like one of the air bubbles. You're like, oh, there's that bubble. And you're
I
like,
did that, and then I drowned to death right there.
Right there.
No, I would say, realistically though, PlayStation for sure. Which PlayStation though? Honestly, probably I would say, weirdly enough, PlayStation 3. I know it just came out. PlayStation 2, close second.
Right.
But man, there was a lot of good games last generation.
Yeah.
A lot of good games that just like, and I feel like technology just kind of evolved to a point. The games evolved kind of in a way to be more like film, but also just in a way to be able to express like emotions and characters in a way that we hadn't really seen before.
Right.
So I would say PS3 so far.
It's so evolved that we say back in our day we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. When I see the games that are coming out now, and I'll see a game and I'll just think, wow, this is somebody's first video game.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna play this game. It's gonna be they're gonna be talking about this. However many years in the future. What was your first video game? Like, Uncharted 4.
Yeah. It was funny because I was actually looking at GameSpot today, and they actually had a thread up there, and it was, what was your first video game? And gosh, what was it? Someone answered, and it was like, it was a PS3 game. It was their first game, and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm in a message board with like 5-year-olds now. Like, what's going on? Am I that old? Sean, what's your all-time favorite console?
Mine is the first PlayStation.
PlayStation 1.
Yes.
Wow.
Crash Bandicoot. That was my very first game I played on that PlayStation.
The Crash Bandicoot.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Let me interject here. Did you play Final Fantasy VII on the very first PlayStation?
Yes, I did.
How do you feel about that remake, man?
I haven't played the remake because I kind of
Well, it's not out. Yeah.
And my cousin Gene now, he played almost about all of them. If I can get him on there, he can tell you about it. And he played the hell out of that game.
Oh, yeah,
Cloud, big huge sword.
Yeah.
That's Buster Sword, man. I'm excited. I'm excited about the remake.
So yeah, Sean, have you heard about them remaking Final Fantasy VII for PlayStation 4?
No.
Yeah.
Since it's coming out on PlayStation 4, I gotta wait until I get mine.
Yeah. So Crash Bandicoot was the first game you played on PS1.
Yes.
I remember, I'm trying to think, the first game I played on PlayStation, I feel like was Twisted Metal.
Yeah, that came later on for me too.
Those are both solid games.
Yeah.
I played Bushido Blade. It was my very first PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah.
And I remember I hadn't seen N64 or even PlayStation 1. I came downstairs one day. My brother was sitting there playing Bushido Blade. And the only other game I remember playing, Super Mario World, and I come downstairs and I see that, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
In the world?
Yeah.
How is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, that's basically real life right there. That's like, they have faces. Oh.
That's kind of like the first time I saw Grand Theft Auto 3, I was kind of the same way. I'm like, wait, video games are like this now?
Yeah.
And it just like blew my mind. I'm like, wait, I can shoot that car with that rocket launcher and just kill all these people? Because I mean, like before that, like you couldn't do that.
My character instead of top.
Yeah, like before, like you couldn't do that in games. Like they wouldn't let you do that.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto 3 was a game changer in a lot of ways.
It really.
I think a lot of people. Yeah, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Looked at that game and were like, "Wow."
I feel like that's probably.
This is new.
Like, I've been, like, hardcore video games since, like I said, like, I was 5. I mean, I got my hands on the Atari, and I was like, oh, joystick and button, yeah, this is awesome.
Pong!
Yeah.
Is that how you did the joystick?
Yeah, joystick and button. I was just, all day long, man. All day long. Still do it. But, but yeah, first time I saw, I think PS2 was, like, the first, like, the turning point for me where I just became, like, it became crack to me. I was like, I gotta play video games now.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Never had a PS1. Like, my cousin had one. I had the 64. He had the PS1. So we would have sleepovers. Both had, when we had the consoles, we just played them together. Like playing GoldenEye till like 3 o'clock in the morning on the 64.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
GoldenEye.
Playing Twisted Metal on the PlayStation. And like, it's just crazy. But yeah, I went from 64, jumped to PS2 because, like I said, I mean, the PS2 was the turning point for me. And then it's been PlayStation ever since. And for me, my favorite console, I mean, it probably was PS2, but it's slowly becoming the PlayStation 4. Like, it's the perfect video game machine. It's super slick. It's fast. And people will argue, like, there's no good games on it, but I highly disagree. I mean,
PS4?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, people shit all over the. I mean,
it's a slick machine. I see what they're saying as far as like how fast exclusives are coming out. There's a lot of games out for it already, though.
yeah.
Especially if you look at things
Well, I mean,
like just
You think?
compared to older consoles, man. There's a lot of games out on that already.
Let's think about like the first exclusives that came out for the PS3, though. You're talking
Oh, well, yeah.
Heavenly Sword, Resistance, Fall of Man, and both of those games they're good. They're not like, oh my god, I gotta have it. Great, you know.
True.
And
PS3 is probably not the best example of exclusive lineups, though.
well,
At
you
least
know, no,
early
yeah,
on.
like you
Early
look at it
on,
now,
was-
yeah,
that
it
was the thing about PlayStation 3, like much harder than PS4. Everyone's like, that has games? It's like,
Yeah,
"Ah,
yeah.
man, I spent $600 on this thing.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm right. It has games.
I
Uh,
just wish they would have kept the demos though. Could have came with like a demo disc.
Yeah, you're right. I do miss like the demo disc, getting demo discs with games. But I guess you
Yeah,
don't really
social
need them
media
now.
is just-
You just download them now, so
Just download them all. It's not quite the same though.
that's
It's
true.
not quite as magical as it.
No,
I feel like having something in your hand is always gonna be different. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
I feel like they could still do that, especially if they had a particular game that they thought would resonate with a lot of people. They should
Right.
definitely just throw that in there,
yeah.
like packaged.
Right.
I think that'd be cool.
Well, I guess they kind of do that. I mean, you look at Final Fantasy, what is it, Type 0, and
Yeah,
it came
that has
with the
15.
Final Fantasy 15 demo. I feel like Square Enix probably is one of the only people that still do that because they did it
Yeah.
with, what was it, Final Fantasy 12?
Yeah.
It came with a-
12 had something.
Yeah.
Yeah, what though?
Or no, I'm thinking Dragon
Something
Quest
had
8.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dragon
that's
Quest
what it
8
was.
came with the Final Fantasy 12 demo. And I'm trying
Oh,
to
man,
think. I feel
Dragon
like
Quest 8, what a freaking awesome game.
yeah. I feel like there was something that released for PS3 that had a demo, and I want to say it's the remake of what was that Kojima game? They did the HD remake.
Zone of Enders.
Do what?
Is it Zone of Enders?
Yes, didn't it came
Is
with
that what it's
the
called? Zone?
yeah. I believe it came with like a demo for Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, see, I feel like it seems like a lot of Japanese companies are still doing that as far as
Yeah.
like in their own games for future games and all that.
Right.
I think that's cool.
And I
That's
feel like
cool.
that's probably the Japanese mindset though. Of video games, they're still. I mean, I hate to say it, kind of in that mindset of being in the 80s and 90s of video games, where you get demo discs, and I mean, you can see that from a lot of their games.
Well, they're probably a little more traditional since they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
actually around
Right.
before that time.
Yeah,
Whereas
I mean,
American
yeah, I
developers,
don't mean it in
that's
a
not
negative way, but
necessarily
yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's cool actually. I do really miss kind of like the physical demos and everything. I remember one time I had a demo disc for it included a bunch of games. Those ones that used to come with the magazine, probably EGM or something like that.
Right.
It had Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh yeah.
What a dope demo, man. I remember I played that thing like on a loop, and I think it would reset after you played for a certain amount of time, so you couldn't just like go do everything.
I remember going to a buddy's house, and he turns on this PS2, gives me the controller. He's like, "Here, play this game." And I'd never seen that game before, Shadows, and I'm like, okay. and the first Colossus you get to, and I'm just like,
Mind-blowing.
holy
Yeah.
shit, I gotta fight that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game is still kind of mind blowing.
Yes.
I still haven't seen the like in that game. You see like God of War, where it's like huge, but it's not necessarily like fully interactive.
Right.
The
The closest.
run up his arm with a quick time event. You
Yeah.
can't necessarily like just climb up him however the hell you want.
The closest thing I can
Yeah.
think of would be Castlevania Lords of Shadow, or Lords of Shadow, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing I can think. That's Shadow of the Colossus like, where you have the
Still gotta
giant
finish the
bosses.
second one.
Do I?
Still gotta finish the second one.
Oh, I gotta start both of them. I haven't even started any of them.
I've played those
Yeah,
ones
fun
yet.
game.
They've got Captain Picard in them, don't they?
Do they?
Or
I
at
don't.
least his voice. I think
Patrick
they do,
Stewart?
yeah.
I don't know.
I think he did the narration for the trailer, and I was like, what? Why is
Oh yeah.
that sounds
Yeah.
familiar? Weird.
Yeah, he plays a voice on there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Next, I guess. Let's talk about what we're currently playing.
Sure.
I guess Will. I feel like I know what you're still playing because
Yeah,
it's like.
It's a huge game.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are still playing it. Probably are a lot further than I am, or not nearly as far as I am. It's just that big. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. Oh man, this game is freaking awesome. You guys, if you haven't played it, you like RPGs, open world RPGs especially. It is freaking awesome. Like, just the amount of detail that's in this game still blows my mind. And the only cons I would say is that it does kind of suffer from like the same types of things that like Skyrim suffered from, at least in my opinion. It's just that the combat leaves a little something to be desired, because after you've been playing it for like 50 plus hours,
Right.
it gets a little old to have like a game that's more dependent on like stats than skills. So that's my only gripe with it, but I freaking love it. It's an
So,
awesome game.
your game of the
Favorite
year so
PS4
far?
game so far. What's that?
Your game of the year so far?
Oh yeah, definitely, and the best game I've played on PS4, and I've played
Really?
Bloodborne. Those are my favorite like series normally, but
Wow.
I
Okay.
like it a lot more than Bloodborne.
You need to play some Rocket League. Okay.
Some Rocket League,
Yeah. And then you'll be like, Witcher, what?
Which
You're like, what's this Witcher you talking
It's a
about?
fun game. It's a fun game.
That's what I hear.
All right, Sean, what are you playing currently?
The Darksiders.
The first one.
Yeah. I got it on the store. It was cheap. Decided to play it. I like it. It's a good game. I like the storyline and everything like that. I wish it had more combos you can use, and the way you can switch out your weapons. Your secondary weapon. You gotta build it up. And upgrade it and everything, but it kind of takes forever because it's not as strong as your sword because it's your primary weapon and you can use it at any time. But besides that, I love the game. Love the graphics on there. Storyline's good. And after I played Darksiders, I'm gonna play part 2.
Right.
And if somebody who came out with Darksiders make the third one, I'll play
Yeah,
that
you're.
too, if it comes out.
I feel like you're probably up shit creek with that one. I
Yeah.
doubt. I seriously doubt there. I don't even know who bought that property. I feel like it was probably.
THQ that made that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
want to
yeah.
say.
Probably up shit creek.
Yeah, I feel like Deep Silver maybe bought the IP though, but I'm not sure. And
Yeah.
I don't see them going to that. They're too busy making Saints Row games.
I don't know. Yeah, I never got into those Darksiders games. I did see the second one being played a bit though. The second one actually looks pretty fun though, so you're in for a treat when you get to that one.
So let me ask you this: they announced Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition for PS4 and Xbox One. It's $40 for the second game.
It's the second game.
Yeah, it's the second game.
What the hell?
And if I'm not mistaken,
Oh man.
they said if this sells, they'll make the first one. Okay, so I'm not crazy, right? Like, it makes no sense.
I feel like you have my answer there. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You you're not gonna include the first one. You're gonna charge people $40 for like a
Right.
little reskin. I know they didn't like Halo collection that.
Yeah.
It's just I'm sure it's just a little upboot, like barely even different. I mean,
Well-
I'm sure, yeah, you got to do lots of technical things, but like you're basically selling the same like bulk package. to
Yeah,
people.
Well, look.
So I mean, I just
So-
don't think they can justify that price. That's way too much, man.
So at the same time, God of War 3 just came out.
Yeah.
$40, and it's God of War 3.
Well, I mean,
If you were an Xbox 360 player last gen, didn't play a God of War game since PS2, you buy a PS4 and you're like, oh, okay, I can play God of War 3 now. Like,
$40 though.
Exactly.
Too
It's
much.
too much.
If they had bundled all of them together, I would even be fine with saying $60 or something crazy.
Right.
They could do full price as long as they just included a ton of games.
The thing
in
that
there.
blows my mind, you have God of War 3, which was a PS3 exclusive. You have God of War Ascension, which people apparently hated. I don't even think I finished it. But
At least those two together, if you're gonna do some kind of collection.
exactly,
At least.
that was my point. If you're going to do a
If not
collection,
1, 2, and all the Vita or PSP ones.
I'm
like,
fine with these remakes, these up-res, I guess, super HDs or higher
what the hell they
definition
call them,
games.
yeah.
Well, I don't know what the hell you would call it. Like, I'm fine with them, but I don't like the single game for $40 and $60. I mean, I will say that Last of Us Remastered came out and I bought it again for $60. Sorry, I'm part of the problem, I know, but
Yes.
that
Exclusion.
that was the only one. Like Tomb Raider, there was not even a year time between Tomb Raider and the definitive edition, and it
But I
came
think
out and it was
In a
$60.
way, that kind of makes sense though, just because if people were kind of on the brink between, like they were getting a next gen,
Right,
current
right.
gen console.
Yeah.
And then they missed out on Tomb Raider because they didn't want to buy last gen stuff. Because I feel like everybody, at least in North America, seems to have just moved on from last gen.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that's
I could kind of see their logic there. I feel like it. I mean, I wouldn't pay $60 for it.
and yeah, that's how I felt too.
Not after, because I mean, there's. I feel like when you're selling something, the main factor is just how new it is, right? Like
Right.
anything, whether you're selling yourself or you're selling a product.
Right.
Like the most important thing is just like, is this something I haven't seen before?
Right,
Or
right.
is this just the same old crap? And even if you've never played the game, if it's been out for a while, you don't look at it as new. That's just human nature.
Right.
And it isn't new. They changed
Yeah,
some features. Her face still looks weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's video
That's why
games
I
though.
hate Drive with Tomb Raider. I love that game, but man, I can't. Her dead eyes. They just
Yeah,
they
yeah.
scare the hell
That's
out of me.
video games. That's what I always say. Dead eyes.
Hers are the worst. I don't know. They just haunted me, man.
Yeah.
Haunted me. Yeah. Next, the updates in general. I don't, especially on PlayStation side, I don't understand what they're doing because they've got PS Now, they've got all these up-res games. It's like, what do you want people to do? Like, it's confusing to me.
Yeah, and there's
You're
more
competing
coming.
with yourself.
If
If you want PS Now to work out, then you got to
Yeah.
support that and stop competing with yourself. If you don't want it to work out, then shut down PS Now.
Yeah,
and
see,
just release
PS
these goddamn up-res versions.
PS Now is this generation's PlayStation Home. It's a great
Oh, God.
idea, but they're screwing themselves by re-releasing all these games. And like I said, it's not going away anytime soon because they just announced Journey. And if I'm not mistaken, it's not cross-buy. You have to rebuy it. Which
Yeah,
it seems like they're moving away from cross-buy and cross-play on a lot of their stuff, which sucks because, I mean, that's another sign of the Vita being dead, you know?
Oh yeah, that thing is.
Yeah.
I think the last coffin was put in that sucker a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Like, even to the point... Let's see if I can find... Hang on one second.
you
Even
have a
to...
Vita, Sean?
Nah, I never got one.
Even to the point where this thing, the Vita TV, or
I
PlayStation
was like,
TV,
what the fuck is that thing?
yeah, the PlayStation TV, you know how much it's selling for now?
How much?
$40.
No way.
$40.
Wow. Can't you play? You can play games on that too, can't you?
Yeah. It's got a card slot for your Vita games.
Wow. I didn't know you could play physical games on there too.
Yep.
So there's really, wow.
And I mean,
that's
like,
insane.
it's got Ethernet port, HDMI. You play it with a DualShock 3 and some DualShock 4 controllers, or games can play with the controller. So.
To me, it makes sense though. I mean, I regret that PS Vita doesn't, it didn't work out because I have one, so it would have been nice if they kept making games for it. But it really does make sense though, because I wasn't carrying it around with me every day or anything like that. Maybe if I commuted into city or something like that. Yeah, well, I mean, I just don't have like time to bring it with me. When I'm out, and I have my cell phone, like most adults, which is what the Vita is kind of. It's kind of the target audience is a more mature audience. So
it was supposed to be,
the younger audience, and then the adult audience. Everyone's got their own phone, so most of them don't want to carry another thing in their pocket.
Right.
It's only going to do one additional service for them. So.
But you can get that sweet case where you can hook it on your belt loop, and it looks like a cool fanny pack. So.
Well, I didn't consider that earlier.
Yeah. See, totally changed your mind on that.
That changes everything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's pretty much it for the get to know us kind of part of this. I mean, that's our video game likes. Well, I mean, do you guys have any video game dislikes? Like, what's your least
favorite video game?
Yeah.
I don't know it yet, so why don't you start? But I definitely want to answer that.
Least favorite? I'm trying to think if I've ever played a game where I was like, God, I hate this guy. Like, I've played some games where I'm like, why am I playing this game? And then I was like, oh yeah, trophies. I want that platinum. I'm glad I'm out of that. I'm out of that phase now, so I'm glad.
On the PS3 was Remember Me.
Really, you hated that game?
Yeah, because I don't know. Just even when I think about it, I'm like, I don't like that game. Like, I had fun playing it.
It just makes you mad. You just hate it.
It's like I didn't enjoy it because it was hard to follow the storyline because it really didn't give you anything. And then when you had to use your powers for changing the story and everything like that, changing the future and stuff like that, I don't know. I didn't like it. And like it took the powers. It took you like 40 seconds to use one power, and then once you use it, you gotta wait, and then you gotta use another one. You gotta wait for that one, and then it just and the moves like you do the same moves over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like Steve's probably played just a ton of awful games, so I feel like he would have just. It's not the worst game you've played, just your least favorite. So I feel like you could pick a game. For me, I think I've got the answer. I'm ready. All right.
Okay.
So we're talking about Final Fantasy VII earlier. I'm going to tell you about a little game called Dirge of Cerberus. What a
you hate that game?
Pile of crap. What just a disappointing game for me. I didn't like anything they did with that, except for the CG cutscenes because they looked awesome. But the story, the gameplay, I was like, oh, this is not what I wanted this to be. And I even thought Vincent was a cool character at that time.
Right.
So I was still in like the Final Fantasy is full of cool characters phase in my life. But now, oh man, like even then, like once I played that game, I was like, oh, it's not what I wanted it to be, like at all. And that's my least favorite game, probably only because I was hyped to play it.
Yeah.
And it didn't live up. I mean, I'm sure there's worse games that I've played, but like you play an awful game and you didn't care about to begin with, you probably don't care too much after. So, Dirge of Cerberus, least favorite game.
That makes me wonder, like, what's wrong with me? Because, like, I remember playing that game, and, like, yeah, it wasn't great, but I was like, man, I had fun with that game. Like, I liked it. And then I think of, like, first, when I got my PS3, first handful of games I got were, like I said, Heavenly Sword, Resistance, and Lair. And I remember reading reviews for Lair, and people, like, just shit on that game so bad. Oh, you can't control it. And I'm like, I played that game. I beat that game, and I had fun with that game. So I don't know. I'm just like I really have like I've played a shit ton of. I don't want to say bad games because a lot of games I've played. I mean they're not bad. I mean like I played, like I told Sean today, I played Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yeah.
And like it's not a bad game. It's just not a game that like we should be playing.
He's played a lot of bad games.
Yeah.
I mean I've played a lot of bad. I'm trying to like. But it makes me feel bad to call it a bad game because of what makes it a bad game. I mean, it played fine. I mean, I was entertained by the game, but like the fact that it's probably for like my 9-year-old kid.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a difference. Like, you know, the Lego games or something like that. Maybe someone would be like, "Oh, you played the Lego games?" But like, those are fun and stuff still.
I'm trying to like.
I know for a fact you play a lot of bad games because I played a lot of bad games with you.
But what's a bad? Like, I can't think of one.
Rogue Warrior is a bad game.
What is it? Rogue Warrior?
Remember that? Like,
actually, now, okay, yeah, I got some in my head now.
Okay.
This game called Legendary. Have you ever heard of this game?
Oh, does that have kind of like a crazy cover? Like
yeah, it's like there's like a griffin coming out of the sky.
Yeah,
it's like a first-person shooter, kind of like played probably 30 minutes of that game.
Awesome.
Yeah, nope. Super excited for this game called X Blades. Bought it day one for $60. Terrible game. I have some bad games now. Yeah, X Blades probably the worst game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Rogue Warrior was up there. Wet. Super excited for Wet because I remember the E3 trailer for Wet, and it's a Bethesda game. And I was like, this game looks badass. Like, slow down time, doing all this, like, crazy stuff.
It's a very stylish looking game.
Yeah.
I just don't think it probably lived up to its hype, but it looked kind of like Tarantino.
Right. Yeah. And that's what, it totally reminded me of that. But playing the game, oh my god, I was so there's this one part where you're on top of a car, and you're shooting dudes, and a car is going by you, and playing it on the hardest difficulty, like a one shot, you're dead. And I just remember dying over and over and over for like hours. And I'm like, what do you do to get past this part?
Yeah,
and I hate
like,
games like that.
Yeah, you said too easy, exactly. I feel like you and me in particular, because we went for the trophies for a really long time. Pretty hard, too.
Yeah.
And trophies are, they're bullshit, but they were fun to go for.
Yeah.
And the thing about trophies, though, is it can turn an okay game into just like a frustrating mess of just something you hate. Because when you play games on the hardest difficulty and they haven't like properly adjusted the game, if they just increase the damage for all enemies by 9 times for the hardest difficulty, that's not how you make a hard difficulty. That makes the game just unfun to play.
Yes,
a lot of early Call of Duty games used to bug the shit out of
the infinite spawn points. If you didn't move that like 2 centimeters forward,
run, man.
Oh my god!
Sprint through the level because otherwise they would like you'd have to kill 1 million Nazis only to figure out. Oh wait, they're That's when you finally figured out they spawned infinitely. World at War. Love that Call of Duty game, but damn, that was the most annoying single player veteran campaign.
Yeah. So I just thought about this one. The most surprising game you've ever played. Like, what's a game that you started playing, going into, you didn't have any hope for, you were just playing just to be playing, and then into the game, you're like, holy shit, this game's like really badass.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard because normally when I get a game, it's something I really want. So to be surprised at it, it's gonna be difficult to think about that one.
I can go ahead and tell you, currently, Rocket League, because I thought it was going to be like, play it one time, I'm done. But the game is addicting. It's super fun.
Well, when I was watching you play, I wanted to download it.
Yeah. I remember you told me, you're like, is this on PS3? I have to have this game. And I'm like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was fun.
another game I can think of would be Wolfenstein, the New Order. I saw the game, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just a first-person shooter with crazy guns, you know? Just another Wolfenstein game. Playing the game, that game is fun as fuck. Like, I haven't bought the new expansion for it, but I can't wait to play it because more Wolfenstein of that genre and caliber. It's perfect.
Awesome.
It's great.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I thought about it. When I first got my 64, it was Jungle Green because it came out with the Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
And like I was playing it, and I thought it was really cheesy. But when you had to collect all them damn bananas and everything, I just kept getting more and more into it, and I fell in love with that game. Like I played it non-stop, 24/7. Just kept playing it. Bought multiple rumble packs, multiple controllers, memory cards, just playing it all the time. I used to know the whole song by heart, the little rap song they have. Donkey Kong is here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game really surprised me because I fell in love with it.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like Sean said, most of the games I buy nowadays, especially, I do my research now. I've been burned too many times in the past.
Right.
But I know I did say something earlier about Shadow of the Colossus. That was a demo, though. I remember that did blow my mind. I didn't have the full game. One game that surprised me a lot. Let's see, probably the first Uncharted. Actually, I went into it thinking that it would be
the best Uncharted.
Well,
the best Uncharted.
Well, I don't think anyone's called it that since
the best Uncharted
2 or any other Uncharted has ever existed.
I don't care what anyone says. Drake's Fortune's the best.
Do you really believe that?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay, I thought you were just being sarcastic.
No. I think it's the best one.
Why is it the best one? I gotta hear it.
When I played that game for the first time, like I played this game 7 times. Like I remember playing this game like 7 times. The first time I played it, I was like, man, this is like being in a movie.
Yeah.
And it was one of those games that it had that hook, and it jammed that hook in me, and that's all I could think about. And I love games that do that.
Yeah.
And then Nathan Drake, I mean, he's got to be like one of the best characters that have been created in, God, years.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Like, it's just amazing, like how Nolan North takes that, like his improv that he does in this game, and then the writing from Amy Hennig and her team that she used to have. Like the game, I know it's
too.
yeah, and it steals a lot from like Indiana Jones and other movies and books. But
good stuff to steal from, though.
Yeah. And then you have like the kind of like father-son best friend dynamic between Drake and Sully.
Oh, which is just great. There's
Yes.
never enough Sully. There's never enough.
Yeah, more
Can't have
Sully.
enough Sully,
Like
man.
the more Sully, the better.
Victor goddamn Sully.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
like they throw in like Elena Fisher, which is probably one of like the best female game characters in a long time too.
Yeah, she's really good. Chloe, though, didn't miss that ass.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
Best of all time. Uncharted 2.
So what female had the best ass in any video game?
Oh, well, clearly Chloe.
Chloe, yeah.
And Chloe was actually really awesome, though. She was like, I really like Chloe a lot. In the
Yeah.
third one, I was disappointed because she was kind of like barely in it. She had like some random British boyfriend. I was like, I kind of like the two's dynamic better.
Right.
She was just kind of like teasing Drake. Like, she was hilarious. She has that really like kind of smoky voice.
Right.
Chloe, man, that's my girl right there.
But going back to the best Uncharted, the part where you find was it a Soviet sub? You would think I would know from
Actually,
playing,
Nazi. It's
playing
Nazi.
this game 7 times. I should know, right?
Yeah.
But when you go in the sub,
it's a U-boat. Yeah.
yeah. And then when you get to the underground part, and it just gets creepy. Like you take this game that was very like lighthearted, like Nathan Drake joking around and all this crazy stuff, and then you get to this part where it's just very creepy, and you're like, "What are these things chasing me?"
Yeah.
And then yeah, I admit it gets cheesy. They're like, oh, a cursed treasure. You're like, oh, okay. I mean,
I don't care. I think the story is fine.
No, yeah, but I'm just like that makes sense in this world that's supposed to be real. But.
Yeah, I love that too. I did love that twist. I just remember you're just sitting there in the sub, and you pick up like an MP40 or something.
Right,
an old German machine gun.
And the projector, like the movie projector's playing.
What's that?
The movie projector's playing when you do this.
Oh.
Yeah, and then like you hear the noises, and you're like,
fuck yeah.
Shit's about to get real. You know?
Yeah, it was like a very quick like kind of tonal shift that like I didn't see coming.
Right,
and it was awesome because like after that, like by 2, you just kind of figured something was like gonna happen.
Yeah.
Same thing with Indiana Jones, right? Like,
right.
Once you see like an arc melt everybody's eyes, you're like, well, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, some
shit's gonna go down later in the movie, right? But so yeah, that was super surprising in the first one because I thought I was just gonna be shooting pirates the whole way through. Little did I know. Really good game. 2, definitely the best though. Steven is of course wrong. That's okay.
I say it goes 1, 3, 2. Golden Abyss.
He did that to burn you.
Dude, at least he didn't put Golden Abyss in front of it. Then I would have known that he's really just doing it to burn. Golden Abyss is a solid game. It really is.
It is, yeah.
It's just they're all really good though.
Yeah,
That's why.
Yeah, I mean there is no bad game in that game series, you know.
Yeah.
Like
I'll play and decide to break on that one.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll make the right decision.
Right.
Okay.
So, speaking of Uncharted, another collection that we talked about before that's coming out, and it's all 3 games. Sad Golden Abyss isn't part of that collection.
Yeah, it's
but
weird.
Do you plan on picking that up?
I don't.
No.
Uncharted, I don't need to play it again. Like, I need to play Uncharted 4. Like, I don't need to be refreshed on those guys. I played them a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it. I had a PlayStation 3 all last gen. Will I want to play them sometime in the future? Maybe, yeah.
Right.
Maybe I'll pick it up then. Or maybe I'll use PS Now if they can, like, price things in a way that makes sense. Maybe if they figure that out sometime in the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'll do that. But yeah, right now though, no. I do have Last of Us, or The Last of Us, on PS4.
Okay.
And I didn't pay for it though. I got that for free. But I feel like that one, if I hadn't paid for it, I might have considered it, just because I freaking love that game.
That's a game.
That's a game that I'll probably want to replay sooner than Uncharted, just because there's just something special about The Last of Us, man.
Yeah.
The Last of Us is it's an amazing game. Sometimes I'll just, if I have people over or something like that, people that are kind of like, I know haven't played video games.
You're like, watch the beginning of this game.
Let me show you the opening.
Yeah. Oh my.
Real quick.
Dude, just thinking about like
that game, like the first 5 minutes are just heart-wrenching and amazing.
Just thinking about the beginning of that game brings tears to my eyes. I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, that is, and they're gonna be making a movie of that, and hopefully they don't screw up that scene. Because I'd be super disappointed.
I never have hope in video game movies.
No. Yeah, and you shouldn't.
Let's cast Mark Wahlberg in this movie too, please.
Who would you cast as Joel?
Troy Baker.
Troy Baker. Oh, that would be dope. But he doesn't look like him though.
I don't care. Mark Wahlberg doesn't look like Nathan Drake, but they were all about that.
But I want somebody that's like old as hell, like not old as hell, but like
Ian McKellen.
Than Troy Baker. Well, Troy Baker is like he's a young guy. I mean, I think he's in his 30s or something like that. But he looks like he looks super young.
Yeah.
He did the voice and the acting great.
Gerard Butler.
Without the thing. Gerard Butler. He definitely looks the part.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I can do it. Right. I got the beard just
that?
like Joel. I kind of look like him. I mean, all us white people look alike, right?
You can probably do it, man. Just gotta get a little more. You gotta have a little more of an accent, though. I think Joel's got a little bit more of a draw.
Yeah.
I like Joel, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. But there's a show called Hell on Wheels.
Yes,
Every time
yes.
I watch it, the main character, damn, he would make a good Joel.
He really would. He really
I
would.
just want to throw that out there.
he will never get cast because he
No,
won't.
he would.
He won't put asses in the seats, and that's what they're looking for. But,
Yeah.
you know,
But you never know. Sometimes they surprise you with casting.
I guess that's true. But I mean,
Yeah,
like,
they really do.
I feel
I think,
like who's
Neil
big right
Druckmann
now,
is involved in it. Like the guy who actually directed Last of Us.
right?
I don't know how he's involved exactly, but they said that they're working with them to create the movie, which is always a better sign than them not doing that.
Yeah,
How involved he is.
I'm trying to think who's big in like the movies right now. In the theater, as
Seth
one.
Rogen as Joel.
Seth Rogen, yeah.
Very
No
interpretive
comedy.
take on Joel. Yeah. They'll find the bodies in the hunter town and they'll make some kind of joke about it.
And do his weird laugh, yeah.
Oh man, I would watch that movie. Probably wouldn't be any good, but I would definitely watch it.
Seth Rogen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'd probably watch it too. Yeah.
You can't watch this movie on TV. The one thing you hear is just beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now like the road running.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of movies, this coming up weekend, Ant-Man releases.
Yeah, I saw the trailer with Falcon in it.
Right. So, question: are you guys excited to see Ant-Man?
I am excited about to see it. It's a Marvel movie for one.
That's all it takes now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anything that says Marvel, unless it says Sony behind after it.
you can't say that. You can't say that because
Sony after
at the beginning of the Fantastic Four movie, there's a Marvel scroll, so you can't you can't say that. Yeah. Oh yeah. So Will, are you an Ant-Man?
Ant-Man. I don't know that I'm excited about the movie. I'll probably watch it just because I have a girlfriend and we go to the movies, and I don't know what the hell else is out to see. Minions, and I would rather not see Minions.
Trainwreck comes out.
You telling me she didn't drag you to go see Magic Mike XXL?
Oh, thank God, no. I think she's seen it, but luckily she had mercy on me. She didn't ask me to go see it. But yeah, it looks funny, and it's just the concept doesn't sell me.
Right.
Paul Rudd is probably the only thing that's kind of like, I like Paul Rudd. He's funny.
Okay. I was gonna say.
But the movie itself, like the concept, like he turns small and he has lots of strength. Like that's just weird to me. if it wasn't somebody that I like wanted.
He can control ants.
I wouldn't want to see it.
He can talk to ants, and he's like, "Hey, ant, go over there."
Oh yeah, with ants.
Yeah.
Super useful, just
Yeah.
like Aquaman.
Oh. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, just like you said, like, I love Paul Rudd. Anything Paul Rudd's in, like, I pretty much see. Am I excited for Ant-Man? I'm excited to see the movie. Do I care about Ant-Man? No. I've never read an Ant-Man comic book. To be honest, I never read an Avengers comic book back in the 90s when I read comic books. The only time I read something that had the Avengers in it is when they crossed over with the X-Men because I was like a huge X-Men fan.
Yeah.
But I feel like Ant-Man's probably another Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, no one cared about Guardians. No one cared. And to be honest, I mean, like, before Iron Man came out, nobody gave a shit about Iron Man. But Iron Man came out, and now, like, people love him.
Yes.
And, I mean, the same could go... I mean, like, honestly, you think about all the Avengers, the same could be said for all of them. I'm sure, like, before these movies, comic book sales for any of these guys, like, were probably terrible. All the merch for those guys were probably non-existent, but now I'm sure it's like a multi-billion-dollar gain for Marvel and Disney now.
That's true. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of just like a short memory type deal as far as like, will this work?
Yeah.
Like Thor worked. No business working.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, when you see the guy playing Thor, you're like, well, okay,
Well,
some
yeah.
people are gonna go see that.
You're like, oh yeah, I
Chris
got
Hemsworth, I'm sure.
it.
But-
The $10 is worth seeing Chris Helmsworth take his shirt off, and you're like, that's a
Walk
man.
out of there, just yeah.
That's a man. And you're like, huh.
That's a man's man.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
I'm sure they would have got. They would have sold some tickets
Yeah.
regardless of how good the
But
movie
we
was.
do have Black Widow though. Okay.
Black Widow, that's true.
Yeah.
There's no arguing with
Leather
that.
all day,
Yeah.
every day.
Okay. So talking about this, we kind of like Sean and I've talked about this at work.
A lot.
Yeah. Does it make sense to have Ant-Man follow up the Avengers 2 and before Cap 3?
No.
Like, is it just a placeholder movie that they're just throwing out because they know they'll make money? Because,
Yes.
like Sean said, it has that Marvel stamp on it?
Yes.
Or is there more to this movie than we think, and there's a lead up to Cap 3?
That's what I'm hoping for because Marvel always surprises you at the end. No matter what you expect, they're always coming up with something different. And that's what I'm really, really hoping for in this one. That's why I'm excited to go see it. But if it isn't, I'm gonna be really pissed off and I'm gonna try to get my money back.
There wasn't enough lead up for the next movie. I'm gonna have to demand my ticket back.
Right.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the getting your money back, but I mean, think about the way the Avengers 2 ends. It's pretty much, oh, we saved the day.
yeah.
Tony
Everybody
Stark's
wants
like,
to
I'm done being Iron Man again for some reason. I'm going home. Thor's like, I need to go check on my papa, and just like leaves. Captain America's like, well, I got some new friends I can play with, so let's make some new Avengers.
Talk about the
Like,
lamest
oldest one in the
Avengers
group.
cast in the world, by the way. Like, jeez, that was such a disappointing end scene. It's like, oh, it's that guy with the wings again. There's a reason
Yes.
he hasn't been in
Hey.
the movies for a while because nobody
Scarlet
cared
Witch.
about it.
Don't be knocking Falcon.
I don't even know his name. Oh, Falcon.
Yeah,
okay.
don't be knocking
Come
Falcon.
on. You gotta look
Why
up.
does he exist? There's Iron Man and then there's War Machine, and between the two of them, I feel like either one of them could take him out in a heartbeat. And both of them are like the lower level of the Avengers. That's just like the rejects that didn't make the first team.
But
I was
you got to understand what they're doing here. This new Avengers team, they're breaking boundaries because they have two black guys.
Yes.
What
Yes,
other
that's one.
superhero team have you seen? Like, they have Falcon, they have War Machine.
That's true.
One of them's going to die.
Yeah.
Well, undoubtedly, because neither one of them have their own movies.
Yeah.
And they're gonna kill somebody. It's gonna be someone where they're not gonna make movies with.
Right.
So I don't know, I was really disappointed when Tony Stark didn't die in the first Avengers. I thought that would have made that movie about 10 times better.
Yeah.
That would have sealed the deal for that movie. If the wormhole had just closed right before he got back into it,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sitting there in space, that would have been the best ending. of
Or
that
better
movie
yet, it closes when he's halfway through and it just like cuts him in half.
ever.
And like,
Very dead.
and like his
Very
legs
dead
are like
space.
floating off in space somewhere, and then like his body just like falls, and just splatters right in front of Cap. And he's like, "Oh shit!"
Or even have Red Skull somehow catch him, and then
Yeah, whatever happened to him? When are they gonna bring
they
him back?
just left him off.
Yeah, when are they gonna bring that kid back?
Oh, Red Skull.
Yeah, we need some more. What's his name? Hugo Weaving? Is that his name?
Yeah, man. Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Hugo Weaving, is that his name? He's Elrond.
That's
Freaking
true.
Agent Smith, man. That
Dude has
is a
made some
baller.
movies. Yeah.
He's made some movies, yeah. He's got quite the skull on him too. I mean, I know he's Red Skull, but he's got quite the
Yeah.
skull.
Yeah.
Very, very prominent forehead.
So
That's what I
moving
like
on
about
from
Agent Smith.
Ant-Man, I feel like we all kind of said the same thing. Like, we're somewhat excited for it, but we're kind of wondering, like, what's the lead up to this? Like, is there a build up to Cap 3? And
Yeah, because I don't want to sit there until Cap 3 comes out wondering what the hell's going to happen next. I want to have some idea of what's going to happen to make me want to go out and see that movie.
right, and they've said like Paul Rudd's in Cap 3, so like to me something has to happen. And like I told Sean, there's a trailer that shows Falcon in Ant-Man, so clearly S.H.I.E.L.D. or some part of something is part of this Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
after Ant-Man, next month, August, the reboot of Fantastic Four. Does anyone care about this movie?
No.
Not in the slightest.
No.
Nobody should care about it because the last ones were garbage, and they have a lot of they have to prove that these ones aren't garbage.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the whole reboot and everything.
So let me ask you this: if Marvel got the rights back to Fantastic Four, and this was an actual Marvel movie, would you be excited for it?
I believe so. I would.
I would.
You still wouldn't care.
I still wouldn't care because first off, I feel like Fantastic Four. They're like, even the name, you can just tell it's like such an old series, man. And the thing about old series is they're hard to modernize. Same thing with Superman. They have such a hard time making Superman movies because he was invented like half a freaking century ago. You know, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can change him before he's completely different. You know, and it's the same thing with Fantastic Four to me. I feel like their powers, like everything about it is just like it's a little like not what I want to see really. It's not what I want to sit down and see. I mean, the movie could surprise me and it could be surprisingly good quality, but again, the concept doesn't grab me. The last movies were atrocious in my mind, and it doesn't really matter who's making it to me. I'm just not super interested in it.
No, I mean I totally agree. I think the only thing that would get me excited for this movie is if Marvel actually had the rights to it, and they were making this movie to set up for Captain America 3, because we know it's all Civil War based, and Fantastic Four had a lot to do with the Civil War in the comic books. But looking at this movie, seeing the trailers, nothing about it makes me want to go to the movies and spend like $40 to see this.
Yeah.
And that's the last comic book movie for 2015.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm kind of sad because it ends on Fantastic Four. I mean, other than that, I mean, we have Star Wars this year, but I mean,
just that little guy.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I like Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. Like the original trilogy, I feel like I'm just like everybody else. Like I love the 4 through 6, but
so annoying, isn't it? When you want to say the first one.
Yeah, I love the first ones.
Oh, God damn it, not episode 1.
Yeah.
What are you, how old are you? 6 years old?
Yeah.
No.
But do I really want to go see this movie? Like, do I want to see episode 7 for, like, I'm afraid of getting another Phantom Menace, you know? Like, I feel like...
I think it'll be awesome. I don't think it'll be... maybe it won't be like as groundbreaking as the first ones, obviously, but
right.
I think it's going to be harder to fuck it up quite as spectacularly as the prequels did, and then so I'll be happy just because they won't be that bad.
I think
as long as they have some decent
but,
acting and some like a decent plot, just throw Star Wars at it, and it'll be fucking awesome.
See,
that's all you gotta do.
I don't feel the same way. I feel like they're more at risk for bombing than Phantom Menace was when it came out. Because I feel like everyone's like, okay, they know they fucked up the first 3. You know? They have to get episode 7 right.
Yeah, to some degree.
And I know it's like, this is like social media. Like, that's the age we live in. Everything's social media. And you can't satisfy everyone on the internet. So I know there's going to be people that love it. There's people that's going to be meh about it. And then there's going to be those loud handful of people that get on the internet and they're like, it sucks dick. I hate it, you know.
Yeah, the one thing I know about that movie is everybody hates the new lightsabers.
Yeah, and see, that doesn't even, like,
outside.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars. That doesn't even bother me. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I feel like if that bothers you, then Darth Maul's lightsaber should have bothered you too.
They both bother me.
Do they?
Why. Neither one of them makes sense, but I don't give a shit. I'm just here to watch people flip around with
Right.
lightsabers.
You're here to see
what am I
Yoda.
gonna pick apart?
You're
A
here to
lightsaber
see
that has-
Yoda flip around like he did.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what
not trying to.
you want to see
look
that part
into it.
again.
Does it make a whole lot of sense? No, but like it looks badass. Like
Right.
give it a break. It looks awesome.
Right.
That's all you really need. That's what you're there for. If you're there to see Star Wars, you want to see cool looking stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily make sense. Like why are they using swords? I don't know. Because they can. You know?
Yeah.
Why don't any of them ever pull out a pistol? Because they're fucking Jedis. Don't think too hard, all right?
Let me ask
They're
you
in the
this.
future,
Let me
in the
ask you
past.
this question: Will they talk about the midi-chlorians in this new series?
Oh, I hope so. Here's how I want them to handle it. I want there to be like very quick. I want them to be explaining to like some young Padawan. I want them to be like, yeah, back in my day, they used to think that there was these microbes called midichlorians that controlled the Force.
Right.
Turns out that was all bullshit, and then
Yeah.
just move on with the plot. Best way to handle it by far.
Yeah.
Or just say something like, oh yeah, so there's some correlation there, but it's not causation.
Yeah.
Midichlorians don't cause the Force. That was just the dumbest thing that people used to believe.
Right.
All right, let's have a lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
That's how I want it to happen.
Get out your lightsaber, kid. Let's fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Enough of this
how I
talk.
set that up, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let's fight, youngling.
So, going into 2016, the first comic book movie, Deadpool.
Dude, I'm wearing the shirt right now.
So, Will, did you see the leaked trailer for this?
Looks dope.
You didn't see the trailer for this? So, I'm like super excited for this movie. It's
Rated R.
yeah, it's everything I wanted Deadpool to be in Wolverine Origins.
Yes, and Ryan Reynolds can get his face back from playing Green Lantern.
Yeah. Oh. Don't even get me started on Green Lantern again. Fucking Hal Jordan.
And his face back from playing Deadpool. He kind of lost it a while.
Yeah, the first one,
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, not
And
that
get
it's
his
his
face back
fault.
even in Blade.
Yeah,
He's losing his
God.
face a lot.
He's been in too many comic book movies. What the hell?
And basically the same, he always has swords.
That's
Yeah,
true.
he
Yeah,
always-
he does.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so we got Deadpool, and I feel like everybody and their grandma's probably going to go see this movie because it just looks ridiculous.
Yes. Like, I'm so glad that they made it animated and that they actually made it
Oh yeah,
movie
yeah,
the way it's supposed to be.
I am too.
Like,
So
See,
go ahead.
yeah, I feel like if it's done right, what I want it to be like. I don't know if you guys saw this movie. It's called Kingsman: Secret Service. Did you guys
man,
watch that?
I gotta finish watching it.
I don't watch shit movies, so no
You don't watch what movies?
shit movies.
Man, come
What?
on. I've seen the first 30 minutes of that movie and I was addicted to it.
Yeah,
I gotta finish watching
I say that having watched Super Fast off Netflix yesterday. Thanks to Sean. Thanks to Sean. Yeah. So yeah, for those listening, Netflix Super Fast.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch it. It's awesome.
So yeah, go ahead, Will. Sorry.
Shoot yourself in the arm.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Really, is what our takeaway is. From
Yeah.
that. But yeah, that was an awesome movie, and like in the same kind of style that I think Deadpool would do well with, like super violent, super raunchy, and just like an excellent time. You know, like just really fun. Like, what's that?
I said he's a shit talker.
Yeah,
Who me?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's great, man. I think that was like the perfect kind of like spirit that I think Deadpool would thrive in. Like if they can nail that movie in that same way, it'll be excellent. I feel like that's a fine line to walk though, because you can go too far with a couple directions. You make it too violent and kind of turn people off to the humor,
Right.
where you can make it like not like it won't even be funny. It's a fine line. Hopefully they can figure it out though.
And hopefully they might lead him into Wolverine 3.
No.
Oh.
No.
That'll
No.
boost the sales for that.
It would, but I'm so tired of Wolverine movies, man. I don't know. I'm burned out on those. Wolverine needs to just be He can be part of the X-Men still. He can still be
No.
the same guy. But I'm done with.
Another set of movies that need to, like, Fox needs to just let go. Even though they never will because they're making money.
Why would they? Yeah.
And Marvel needs to get the rights back to X-Men and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So the next movie I want to talk about, and it may be the last one because we're a little over like an hour now, like an hour and 10 minutes. Batman versus Superman.
That was a good one to end with. It was a solid one.
Yeah.
This is another one of those movies I see, and I want to be like so hyped. Like I want to be hyped to the nines about this movie because it's Batman and Superman in one movie together.
Yeah.
But watching the trailer and knowing what I know of this movie, I can see it's a train wreck. Like it's a train wreck that I know I'm gonna watch, and I'm not gonna look away and then be like, "Huh, that happened."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
how in the world Batman was able to do that?
I,
There's gonna be a lot of those.
I don't know. Like
This is how I feel about the movie. When I was watching I Am Legend and saw that poster, I was so excited because I knew they was actually gonna do it. But watching the Batman movies and the Superman movies, I'm like, it just shot me. It just shot me in the foot. I didn't like it. I'm not ready for it.
the thing that turns me off,
Justice.
like the thing that turns me off about this movie is you go into it with a Batman that you know nothing about.
No.
I mean, there's been plenty of Batman movies, but this is a Batman you know nothing about. It's not your Michael Keaton Batman. It's not your George Clooney, Val Kilmer. It's not Christian Bale. It's, I mean, it follows none of those storylines. So you know nothing about this Batman other than he's Batman. And
he used to be Batman.
well, yeah, that's the thing. He's a weathered Batman. He's an older Batman. And Superman is here on Earth now. The fight with Zod kills millions of people. And Bruce Wayne decides, I need to stop him for some reason.
See, I feel like I already know the reason. And I feel like I kind of figured out before I saw the trailer. And the trailer seems to kind of hint at it. Seems like during that fight, someone that he knows actually dies. And is probably killed by Superman.
Seeing the new trailer from like the Comic-Con trailer they just released, they show Zod and Superman fighting from the first movie, and they cut through a Wayne Enterprise building. The building falls, and you see Bruce Wayne standing in the street, and like he runs into a cloud of smoke, and when the smoke clears, he's like covering up like a little girl.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's totally something I could see Bruce Wayne doing. Like he's going to save people if he can. But I don't know. To me, it's just like, all right, I got to take him out because I have to take him out.
See, I don't think it's gonna be like that. I think it's gonna be like a fallen kind of Batman story, like not quite the idealist motives that he had before. More like, hey, you killed someone I liked. Now I'm gonna take you down. I think that's all. I think that's what they're kind of hinting at. I could be wrong.
Right.
That's the only like. It doesn't. It just would feel strange for him to be like, I'm just gonna take this guy out because he got into a fight and knocked down a bunch of buildings, which is a good enough reason too, I guess. But he looks pretty angry in the new trailer.
Yeah.
It looks like it might be a little personal.
And then the new trailer shows Wonder Woman. And again, another thing that bothers me is, all right, Superman has this fight, kills all these people, and now all of a sudden all these superheroes come out of the woodwork. Like, where have they been? Where were they when the fight happened?
Why they couldn't help out Superman?
Or why couldn't they just stop both of them? I mean, because they don't know who Superman is. If Wonder Woman's there and she has her powers, and if Bruce Wayne was already there, I mean, Bruce Wayne's supposed to be prepared for anything. I mean, that's the way they've always portrayed him in every form of manner of comic book, animated movie. He's prepared for everything.
Yes.
How come he didn't have his bat suit there at his Wayne Enterprise? Like, where's his underground vault that he suits up and goes? Why didn't Wonder Woman just...
Superman cut his suit in half. That's why he's super pissed. Like,
That's what it is, yeah. He's like, I just made that suit.
Didn't in Man of Steel he destroy Wayne Enterprises' satellite dish?
Yes, that was in the Man of Steel movie as well.
He's also super pissed about that.
He's like, oh, that was my internet connection.
Like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too... I don't really care the changes from comics and all that sort of thing. So I feel like each movie and each series is its own thing.
Agreed, but I mean, at a certain point, you can't have a character and then just change him because you're in a different medium. Like, you can't have Batman being the world's greatest detective and then have him in this movie and he's Batman, the world's greatest dumbass. You know, like,
no idea what's going on.
The world's laziest superhero.
That he like retired and just said he wasn't gonna do it anymore. He's still like the same character, just one that decided to retire earlier.
But again,
the fan.
Okay, you say that, but again, they're also making a Suicide Squad movie, and he's in that movie.
Yeah.
So how does that happen?
Oh, I don't know.
You know, like,
good point.
oh, this Superman guy, he's pretty bad. Oh, there's these Suicide Squad people. I need to stop them too.
Maybe he's only in Flash. I don't know.
When Robin actually figured out he's gonna become a superhero, they cut him out completely.
Robin? That's because nobody gives a shit about Robin.
They can come back as
Robin's not relevant until
Nightwing.
Robin turns into Nightwing. That's when people like Robin. No one gives a shit about Robin.
Yeah, the red and green tights and shit.
Yeah,
well,
no
I mean,
one.
if you're gonna name him Robin, you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah,
let's be
yeah.
honest. Gonna have one badass hero named Batman and then Robin. I mean,
Yeah.
You're a bird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, I guess we're all in the same boat on this one too. It's one of those things that like we're somewhat excited to see it, but we know it's probably going to be shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, you may be totally different.
I feel like I'll definitely see it. I don't know if I'm convinced it'll be shit, but I wasn't a big fan of Man of Steel, and that's the only thing we know coming into this one.
Right.
Same guy, you know. So it's like,
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. I don't have too strong. I'm not like hyped for it. I'm not like thinking it's gonna be like the world's biggest piece of crap either.
Right.
I think it'll just be okay. Honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think it'll be like the best superhero movie I've ever seen, or the worst. So
Yeah, that's for
it
sure.
looks meh, which is almost worse than having strong feelings about it either way.
Yeah, it's true. All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for the first episode of They Got a Podcast. I guess this would be the segment where we kind of like pimp out our stuff. Do you guys have anything to pimp as far as Twitter pages, Vine pages, Instagram? Like, do you guys do any of that social media stuff?
I do Vine. I don't have a lot of videos up there, but I have a couple. I think they're pretty good. I thought about doing a few before I went to bed tonight. Get my status up there.
Right.
Get some followers going.
So what's your
It's Sean Gordon. It's my name.
just Sean Gordon on Vine?
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, there is a audio podcast that will be going up on like iTunes and maybe some other stuff, but we are live on my Twitch page, and like I said, we're live and the chat's live, and we have someone here, and he or she, I assume it's probably a guy because girls don't get on the internet, they want us to put a shoe on our head. Yeah, a shoe on our head. And they say, please, can we put a shoe on our head?
I don't got a shoe. I got a slipper that I'm wearing.
Now, I will say, if you got here in the beginning of this podcast, you would have heard all of us say that we don't have pants on.
Yeah.
And who wears shoes without pants?
Don't know who Al Bundy is. You need to grow up a little bit.
So we don't have shoes with us
bit of a preview of the No
Oh,
Pan.
it's just we don't have shoes. I'm sorry.
I have a slipper on my head. Am I on? Yes. I have a better slipper.
So no shoes on the head, but so will I assume like you don't tweet. You're no social media person, right?
Oh man, I'm all about the social medias. You guys can add me on the PlayStation Network.
There we go.
Friend network in the world.
Yeah, that too.
Sapphic, just like it should be spelled. If you can't figure that out, we should be friends.
Right.
You can help me boost some trophies sometime. That's all I got from him.
Just
Yeah, that's right. I got a PlayStation 2. Justifier 666.
you got a PlayStation 2?
No, PlayStation 2.
That's cool, man. I got a Dreamcast.
Right. Got that Gamecast.
Hey, girl.
Oh man. We're just speaking about random consoles we have.
Yeah.
Also got an N64. Just throwing it out there, guys. If anyone was curious.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, you can follow me on twitch.tv/that's Steve Dawson. I'm also that Steve Dawson on Twitter, Instagram, and that's probably it. I don't want you to add me on PlayStation Network because I don't play online, so don't worry about that. So I guess that would it. That's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for if anyone tuned in. I have no idea if anyone did, but
Yeah,
should've,
just this
because it was
person that
great.
wants us to put a shoe on our head, which
Appreciate
I
that.
think he's probably in every channel asking him to do that.
probably I feel like it's what it is. We don't have shoes.
Percentages-wise, you gotta get someone to get shoes on their head.
What you need to do is donate us money so we can buy shoes. Just click the donate button at the bottom there. We'll buy shoes, and then on the next episode, we'll put a shoe on our head.
For the low price of $1,000 a day,
Just-
you can buy all three
exactly.
of the shoes. So, go ahead and do that. We'll see you next video with a shoe on our head, alright?
And get some hand socks going along with those too.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. If you buy us the Gorilla Feet shoes, you know what I'm talking about, the ones with the toes.
Oh, yeah.
We'll put those on our head. Yeah. Just click that donate button.
Don't be hesitant.
Yeah.
You know you